It's been very strange to see Boris Johnson not answering quite a direct question. Was he or wasn't he present at the gathering in the garden of 10 Downing Street? Now, it's worth explaining just a few details. One is that 10 Downing Street isn't just where the Prime Minister lives, but it's also quite a large office area for many people who work with the Prime Minister or for the Prime Minister. And therefore, there was this gathering in the garden, which many are saying has to have been against the lockdown rules that were in place in May 2020, when people were only allowed to meet with one other person from outside their household outdoors in a public space 2 meters apart. Instead, we saw here that the Prime Minister's private secretary invited 100 people by email to enjoy the good weather in the garden and bring their own alcohol. Around 40 are said to have attended, and there is this question which remains whether Boris Johnson himself and his wife Carrie were there in the garden too. He's so far said that he doesn't want to answer the question because there's an investigation going on into this potential breaking of the lockdown rules, and the civil service will be taking part in that investigation, and that's when there will be questions to be answered. But many in the opposition and the country at large just aren't having that. It's a simple question: either he was there or he wasn't.
Now, what seems to be at the heart of this issue is the potential erosion of public confidence in the state's top decision makers in a tough time here. How sensitive or even problematic is that issue in the UK?
Well, it is definitely difficult for Boris Johnson and the Conservative government. Remember, he brought them a very large majority in the last election, and so they know that Boris Johnson is capable of winning big at elections. That's always been one of the reasons people have put up with what's seen as his flexibility with the truth in some instances and his general disorganisation and somewhat buffoon-like behaviour. He was, before he was Prime Minister and Mayor of London, known as a journalist, and a comic journalist at that, who also was involved in politics. But people are questioning whether or not that is the appropriate type of person to have in charge of the country, especially at such a critical moment. And the problem for him is that there are plenty within his own party who are continually questioning his leadership, because this isn't the first time that he's disappointed backbenchers in the Conservative Party. Whether or not, though, they feel that they need to challenge the leadership in their own party and bring about a race to replace him is another matter, because there has to be somebody who they could replace him with, who they would feel confident could win at a future election. And so far, there isn't necessarily somebody who ticks all those boxes.